afternoon. What's up, everybody? How's it going? Nope. My eyes. Oh, my eyes. Why do you betray me now? Welcome back, everybody. Hope you're all been well. I'm Miles, and welcome back to the channel. Today is the third installment of the series that we've been doing discussing the guitars, techniques, and tones of Tom Morello on the Rage Against the Machine album, The Battle of Los Angeles. And the song that's going to be in our crosshairs for today is Born of a Broken Man. Like I've said before, I want to get all the simpler songs kind of out of the way because there's some other songs on this record that are a little bit more involved. And so I'm going to try to keep all the simple stuff short and sweet. So what we're going to need for this song is a guitar. You're going to need a guitar that's tuned to drop D. Doesn't need to be anything special. I'm using my Telecaster for today. And other than that, you really only need to have some sort of source of distortion for your guitar's signal, and you're going to need a wah pedal. You don't really need a wah pedal, but for this one particular part in the song, you're going to need a wah pedal. So let's just get into how to play this thing. Here we go. All right, so first things first, tuning for this song. Nothing too crazy going on. We're not a half step lower or anything like that. We're just in straight up drop D. So the low E string is going to be matching your D string. And you want to make sure that you're tuning down. Do not tune up to D. Okay, now we got that covered. Now as far as effects that you're going to need for this song, you're going to ideally just need an overdrive or a distortion for it. If you don't have a distortion, as long as you have an amplifier that can get a distorted signal from it, then you're good. For me today, I'm using the Boss BD2, the Watts of Craft Edition Blues Driver. But in addition to that, I'm also going to be using the Digitech Supernatural Ambient Reverb, as well as the ISP Technologies Decimator 2. That's a noise gate. That's just keeping things from sounding too buzzy here and there. And I'm also using a Dunlop Jimi Hendrix Tribute wah. Now, it's got a fuzz circuit in it. Don't need the fuzz circuit at all. I'm just using it for the wah purposes, of which I'll explain later as well. Additionally, I'm using the Digitech Whammy, and I'll explain why I'm using that and where I'm using it in a little bit. All this stuff in the context of the song, it's all going to make sense. But let's go over how to play the song. All right? So now we got the basics covered. Let's go into that. Now, as far as what you're actually playing on the guitar in this song, a lot of what you're playing for the intro and for the verse is going to be dedicated to playing the open low E, A, and D strings. And then you're playing fretted notes on the G string above that. So you're kind of treating the bottom three strings as like a drone underneath this sort of leading tone. In terms of the notes that are being played on G, you got the 14th fret to the 13th, and then the 16th fret for the first part. Now, to get it to sound exactly like it sounds on the record, the way that I play it, I'm basically just going through as if I was playing an open D chord down in root position. So what I'm doing in this case is adding in the 15th fret on B. So that might be a little bit harder to play, but if you listen closely to the intro on the song, that note, that D, is in there. And it gives it sort of a mandolin sort of quality in terms of how it sounds. Now the part that follows right after that, you're playing the 17th fret of A and focusing primarily on playing the open D and G strings above that. So that's all that is. You're not moving anywhere. It's just that one sustained fretted note and those two open strings. And then we go down to the 4th fret on G, down to the 2nd fret. And for these two notes, we're incorporating the open bottom 3 strings with that. So all together, this is what it would sound like. Now, touching back on what I was mentioning before about playing the 15th fret of B, the first part of the intro, if you watch any live videos of Rage playing the song, Tom is playing just single notes on G along with those open strings beneath it. Which sounds just fine. But for all intents and purposes, I'm trying to replicate what's being played on the record as best as I can. So with that said, when it comes to the intro specifically, the way that I would go about playing it and trying to get it sounding proper would be when I incorporate the reverb pedal. Now the one that I'm using today is the Digitech Supernatural Ambient Reverb. It's discontinued, but you can still find them online. I think it's one of the best ones that you can get without having to spend a whole buttload of money on a Strymon. Now with this reverb pedal, there's a couple different settings you can use. There's a plate reverb, there's one that's got plate and modulation, there's a shimmer, there's a whole bunch of stuff. We're using the spring reverb for the purpose of this intro. And I think it sounds pretty legit, and it just kind of like adds to the whole sound quality of what the intro on the record actually sounds like, having that there. Now another important quality of this song is that going into each of the choruses, what you have going on is a volume swell on the guitar. There's multiple guitars being used in this one particular portion of the song. You have the one guitar that's going from a really low volume, playing basically a D chord. But on top of that, there's also, it sounds like it's an octave of the two root notes of D. So it's similar to the beginning of the song Wake Up. So the best way to achieve this in a sort of live setting would be to start with your guitar's volume at a lower level while you have your distortion engaged. So I have the Blues Driver on right now, and instead of it being at full volume, I've rolled back on the volume. So the signal itself is cleaned up and there's less distortion there. And starting with the reverb on. So if you don't have a reverb pedal, it's fine. It's not super duper crucial. It just helps kind of add some more depth to what's going on in terms of the intro of the song. Now, if you want to use the reverb for the verses as well, that's cool, totally fine. It's not going to take anything away from it. Now, the only difference between the intro and the verses, aside from the last verse in the song, is that when you get to the last verse in the song, what's happening is that instead of playing all three of those strings, you're now playing just the D string. So same notes on the G string, but now you're keeping it real subtle with just the 2 strings. Now, the part that follows right after that last verse going into the last chorus, this is where our wah pedal is going to come into play. So you're not going to be swinging back and forth on the pedal itself in terms of changing the filter on the wah. You're going to keep it toe forward just to give sort of a white noise sort of tonality to what you're playing. And that's only for the first repeat, the first 2 repeats of the chorus before the rest of the band kicks in full force. So let's go over the actual chorus now. So you're starting off with just strumming the low E, A, and D strings open, and then you're going to the 5th fret on D, and you're bending that up a half step. So, and then after you bring that bend back down, going to the 3rd fret over low E, A, and D, giving you an F power chord. Back to open on those 3 strings. So now after that, you're gonna be playing the note A. And from live videos, you can see Tom Morello is playing it on the 2nd fret of the G string. It's a little weird kind of grabbing it there without hitting the D string or anything else. It's easy to have that happen because you're going right back to playing open strings right after that. But if you take some time to just kind of practice going for that one note, it'll become a lot easier over time. If you want to avoid that altogether, go to the 7th fret of D, in which case you'd be doing. But those are all the notes you're using for the chorus section. Now, the only other thing that exists within the chorus, besides those chords and those single notes, is on the 3rd repeat of the riff, you're going to the 2nd fret of G again, and you're doing a slow bend on that note while also plucking the string multiple times. So it's, and that's it. So all together. And that's your chorus. So the only other part that we haven't really covered so far is this one section that happens after the 2nd and 3rd choruses in the song. And it's just... And that is just single notes on the A string on the 15th and 17th frets. Now, on the record, what's happening is that there's a double of those same notes an octave higher. And it sounds kind of weird if you're playing octaves up this high on the neck, because you have to kind of strum to get those notes. Just gives a different sound because of the difference in articulation. So what I'm doing today in terms of avoiding that problem is using the octave up setting on the whammy. Now this is different from the whammy section on the right side of the pedal that allows you to go up 2 octaves at the highest and then down to the dive bomb section at the very bottom. This is on the harmony side. So it's just simply adding a harmony an octave higher while maintaining the original dry signal beneath it. So the original note still exists. So what I'm doing is just switching back and forth between the 2. So I'm playing the first half of it, doing, and then when it comes to the notes on the A string, then I'm adding in the octave. like that. And it doesn't necessarily have to be on classic or chords mode in this case, depending on what kind of whammy pedal you got. But, I mean, because it's only this one single thing, so it's no big thing. Alright guys, so that's it. That's really it. This song is very straightforward. Nothing too complicated is going on, but there will be complicated stuff to come. So if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button so that you know when the next video is posted. Hit the bell, I guess, if you really want. I don't know. That seems like a thing that people are saying. If you like what I'm doing here, feel free to go over to my Patreon page and see how you can support me over there. It just helps me pay the bills, helps me buy strings. It just makes this whole thing a lot easier. And other than that, if you would like, hit me up on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Follow me over there. I try to post videos there pretty regularly. And I'd love to be in touch with you guys. I got some new stuff in the works for this week in addition to this video. So be sure to stay tuned for all that. But other than that, I'll see you guys next time. So stay safe, keep playing. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.